Okay, so this is gonna be in the how to run away, how not to run away playlist. I've tried to make a couple of these, but I don't like how they turned out in the end. I wasn't gonna make any more videos for a while, but 'cause I'm falling asleep. I wasn't gonna make any more videos for a while, but I think I should make this and mention this thing that I've been mentioning a lot again. I really do want to make some more support groups that people are actually going to join, but I know that for when everything I talk about is controversial, people don't want to admit that everything I say is right and has always been right throughout all the years, even since the evidence channels, because of people's pride. Because for people to admit that I'm right, they'd have to admit that we're all wrong, we're all bad, and that offends people, and they feel like, oh, you're making America look bad when you talk about this happening, or when you talk about this, you're making it seem like people are bad people. And honestly, nobody's a good person, but that's not even really the point. But it's just the fact that due to pride, people do not like this stuff. People will I don't even know what to say about it. It's just everything is always going to fall on deaf ears, but I should have learned that during the evidence channels. If I didn't learn anything else during the evidence channels, I learned that. But shoot, I should have learned that before the evidence channels. Actually, the fact that I had to make the evidence channels and talk about things that are happening to me and other people and show them, I should have already known by that point. But anywho, since everything I talk about is controversial, I know most people wouldn't even want to join, but I do really want there to be some groups, maybe an actual website, so that way people in certain situations can get on there and talk about it. Because it's as I've talked about in the videos in the how to run playlist, and maybe the how not to as well, although a lot of the videos aren't mine, I'm not gonna lie. I think I ended up adding way too many that aren't mine, where I may just have to make a whole new how to run playlist and then put some videos there. But maybe I'll make a how to run playlist part 2, and then that should actually just have my videos, so that way people don't get confused when they're looking for stuff. But anywho, to get back to the point, I mentioned in other videos in that playlist that everybody should already know how Reddit is. I've mentioned that for years, that it's very obvious that Reddit is an app for white supremacists, especially covert and subconscious racist white savior liberals and chomos. That's what Reddit is very obviously made for and ran by. So it's you can't really talk about anything real. Everything has to revolve around some weird political agenda, which of course I know both wings are on the same bird. There's also plenty of racist, quote-unquote white people that are on the right as well, but Reddit is very obviously mostly left app, or I could say, at least when it comes to some of the sexual agendas, but I mean those are pushed by both ends really. But all I can say is really political white supremacists on both sides, I'll say that. But there's definitely a lot of left or stereotypical left agendas, talking younger people into sleeping around, having abortions, talking younger people or really anybody into becoming trans and just different stuff like that. That's why I say stereotypical left, or stereotypical quote-unquote white leftist stuff. And then, of course, the chomo side, which I'm sure everybody knows that about Reddit, or really a lot of internet groups like that. I think Discord is similar enough to Reddit, and that's also known for chomos. But there's that site, and then there's the National Runaway Hotline. But I mean, of course, there's really nothing you could really truly get from that, but maybe having somebody to talk to that isn't supposed to report you. So I mean, you could talk to them if you're feeling some type of way, but that's if you have a phone, and it's they still can't do anything because America doesn't really, I mean, we don't have youth shelters or any of that. So Now keep in mind, youth also does mean 18 plus, so like there aren't any shelters for youth who are 18 plus either, really. There's a few, but like they're mostly on the West Coast in like Oregon and Washington. There's Covenant House, which I think is 16 plus, but I mean, you're gonna have to lie about your age regardless. And then it's like, for whatever weird reason, youth shelters want you to have an ID. And I find that really crazy because it's actually harder to get an ID if you're like a homeless youth. And that's why, honestly, it's easier to lie about your age and go to an adult shelter if you really, truly needed to go to a shelter. But it's definitely going to be way more unsafe. But I do know that part of it is that, like, youth resources, especially youth shelters, want to make sure that there aren't people who are older than, like, 25, 26, who are lying and saying that they're, like, younger than they are, but... And then it's also stuff about, like, I don't know, it's just really weird to me. I'm not even really going to go all into that, but to get back to the point, though, like, I want to make some support groups for people in all situations of all ages, but of course also harm reduction support groups for, like, people who are kicked out or runaways that are actually helpful, that aren't filled with chomos, that aren't filled with people that are going to come talk junk to you and tell you that everything's your fault and you just need to be good and that you shouldn't leave, even though if you don't leave, your only other option is to unalive yourself / let your abusers unalive you or lock you up in a TTI or something where you're going to be essayed and forced to eat throw up and probably never heard from again and stuff like that. Laws are put in place to keep people of all ages in bad situations and to uphold perpetrators. And there really needs to be more harm reduction groups. Because, I mean, I'm sure everybody's been seeing the stories of, like, different situations with runaways, especially girls, because you never hear about the boys. But runaway girls especially, who, really anybody of any age that just end up in some bad situation that typically revolves around dating or quote-unquote dating, because people are desperate and can't handle being alone. But I don't mean that in a victim-blaming way. I know it's probably always going to sound rude, but I'm just saying it to be honest, and I totally get why people rather run off with some chomo or do the whole shack-up boyfriend-girlfriend thing, because, like, it's really hard to do stuff by yourself because it's not really how things were supposed to be. Like, people weren't created to have to raise themselves and survive on their own with nobody. And I understand why people would do, like, the other options where they get boyfriends, get girlfriends, get with some chomo, or stay with their abusive family system and don't leave because they know that, like, once they're out, there aren't a lot of other options. A lot of people know that they really wouldn't be able to handle being homeless and living outside and having to do the whole tent thing and camping. And also, people who really know the truth, they know that once you're visibly homeless and you're literally like, I don't know, the stereotype, not the Caucasian addict projection where they've made their community's drug issues a face of homelessness, but like the stereotype where, like, you're just, I don't know, the person who sits on the, well, not sits on the corner, I won't say that. You're just always sitting on a bench somewhere. I guess I could say that so I don't, like, try to make up some, like, far out stereotype. You're always sitting on the bench and people treat you funny. They talk crap to you. They tell you to get a job. They try to kidnap you, traffic you, whatever in the world, or just people treating you like crap pretty much. And treating you like you did something to somebody or you're a bad person because of pride and them feeling like they're better than you, or really them trying to put you down to make themselves feel better because you're now in one of the predicaments that makes you society's scapegoat. And I totally understand why people would rather take the other risky options that revolve around desperation and not being able to handle being alone and running into somebody's house, or staying in the already known bad situation due to fear of the unknown and fear of being treated like crap or just not knowing how you're going to survive and get by every day. Because, I mean, a lot of people know that they're in really, really bad situations, but they know that they wouldn't be able to handle being out here either. Or some people know that their situation is bad, but it's not bad enough, so they might as well stay home and just get abused because there are no other options, there is no help, nobody cares. And the only people that are ever willing to actually, well, not actually, but the only people that are willing to quote-unquote help anybody are sexual predators and let me help you lunatics, as I call them, and other forms of deranged women. So they just stay home, and like, I totally get it though. I'm not trying to bash anybody. I understand why somebody rather be like living with some chomo where they're still gonna definitely get abused in different forms by the chomo, but they're also gonna get treated like crap if they're full-blown visibly homeless on the streets. I get why somebody rather be the I don't know, for example, the homeless 14-year-old that's staying with some chomo, which is hidden homeless, so they may not even really consider themselves homeless or know they're really homeless. But if you're in an unsafe living predicament or amenities in the house don't work, that is a form of homelessness. But they rather be that person who still is able to get food, still has a house to go to, still has somebody to enroll them in school if possible and pick them up from school and drop them off at school, help them get food if I didn't already say that, take them places, etc., etc. They'd rather be that 14-year-old than the visibly homeless 14-year-old that's always being seen eating out of dumpsters, having people spitting on you and throwing cans and rotten tomatoes at your tent. If you can even manage to get the money to get a tent, or get the money to get a tent and get to a place to buy a tent, if you can figure all that out, you'd rather be the homeless person with a boyfriend or girlfriend or chum or whatever in the world than be the visibly full-blown, literally homeless person who's seen as somebody who's bad, burn your bridges that you never had, quote-unquote. What else? You're quote-unquote bad and grown and you got kicked out. The accusations of all the different things you're supposedly doing, like supposedly, especially if you're younger or a woman. If you're younger, people are always going to feel like you're a prostitute, quote-unquote. Because for whatever reason, especially in some places more than others, people feel like there's no other way for younger people, boy or girl, to get money other than prostituting or selling drugs. And I mean, there's definitely other ways. That's the easiest, well, the seemingly easiest way, but that has a lot of spiritual and physical detriments. But that's the visibly easy way to get money. Even more easy than selling drugs, I guess. Because, well, not I guess, it would be in people's mind because, like, I mean, you have to figure out how to get the substances and who to get them from, but when you're selling yourself, you just have yourself, and that's that. And, what was I gonna say with that? Oh, yeah, there's other ways to make money that aren't detrimental or bad, but they don't work everywhere, and they're not always easy. And often you have to really be selling stuff that people really need, especially like right now since the dollar's falling, but that kind of depends though on your audience and what you're selling. But to get back to the point, what was I saying? Oh yeah, another thing I mentioned before, this is probably going to be all over the place, but something that people don't talk about is that once you're out here, once you run away, you get kicked out, or you're a dumped out foster kid and you've been homeless your whole life anyways, you're no longer somebody's kid. And if you're a foster kid, or you have like an abusive family system that really makes it clear, or you're going through different forms of human trafficking, you probably already know this, but especially once you're out here and you're full-blown visibly homeless, you're no longer somebody's kid. You're now just a homeless man or a homeless woman. And that doesn't matter, like, wait, am I saying this right? I don't know. I'm just going to say it anyways. No, it doesn't matter how old you are. That's not even the thing with it. Once you're out here, you're just a homeless man or a homeless woman, no matter what your age is. Just like in your other abuse situations, you're up for grabs to anybody, because as I've went over before, and even had somebody's comment of this, as a thumbnail for a couple of videos, I think, or at least one video, like a year plus ago. There is no safe place for people with no family or abusive family. And that's why I really want to, like, make the harm reduction groups for everybody. And I really want to figure out how to really have it where people can really find them. And the thing is, people don't want there to be runaway groups because really, as I've mentioned plenty of times before, people want you to go out there and get assaulted and get R-worded by some dude with a 19-inch because they want to rub it in your face and say things like, if you weren't being bad, fast, and grown, you wouldn't have got assaulted, and it's your fault you got assaulted because you're the one that left and you're the one that decided to be fast and you didn't want to listen to your parents or guardians or whatever. Or you didn't want to make up with your family system and handshake with the chomo uncle, grandpa, or grandma, or the grandma who's been essaying you because she was essayed by the Catholic priest, which I did know a boy who was in that situation as well, but I'm not going to go into that. That's just some examples. So anyhow, people want bad things to happen to people who want to escape bad situations because, for one, with ageism and the cult of society, so like even if it's not about ageism or adultism, but like you're, 30 plus or whatever, people still feel like you need to stay with your abusers because that's what you're supposed to do. When you try to do anything other than that to save yourself and better your situation, people are going to bash you because they have cognitive dissonance and they're perpetrators themselves. And I don't remember what the lady's YouTube channel name was, but I know I had like made a post, this was a long time ago, well, months and months ago, of one of her videos. I like reposted it, where she was talking about narcons, archons, and something about Delulu something. I can't really remember, but like she mentioned this psychological study, and it was about the Lucifer effect. I'm pretty sure there's videos about it, but there's definitely articles about it out there. What I would really call this is just flying monkeys and enablers. If I haven't learned anything else throughout my life, people will become flying monkeys and enablers to anybody's bad situation or quote-unquote situation or quote-unquote bad situation in a heartbeat. So even if you don't see your situation as bad, like if you feel like you built a cabin in the woods and you're just living off the grid, if other people feel like you're not doing what you're supposed to do because I'm struggling to take care of my kids I never wanted and you're not, people still feel like you're in a quote-unquote bad situation, you're a bum. And they'll become a flying monkey enabler and help your abusers talk junk about you, smear campaign you, abuse you, whatever in the world, in a heartbeat, and they'll get nothing out of it but putting their self up, because as I always say, for somebody else to be, wait a minute, for somebody to be up, somebody else has to be down. And I notice that liberals are always talking about capitalism and throwing the word capitalism around. I would really just say a prideful, evil, Luciferian world, but they say capitalism. But anywho, I guess maybe like the whole for somebody else to be up, someone has to be down thing. Maybe that also could revolve around the whole capitalism, bullcrap term. I don't really like any of these like political like terms. It's all really, it's just like, it's a way to label things off without talking about the real issue or the real like reason behind things. But anywho, because I know I jumped off so many times and I never finished some sentence a while back. Pretty much to get back to that other point, don't know what I was last saying because I forgot, because I had to pause it and do something. People want to throw things up in your face, and I know I definitely mentioned this in the Coroners message reaction video. The Coroners message to teens and parents was absolute bullcrap, and I have a video about that that's an hour plus long, I'm pretty sure. In another video, two other videos that go along with that is the she hid in CPS custody for over a year video. No, that's not what it's titled. Girl hid in CPS custody for over a year, I think that's the title. And then the video that's titled We're scared of kids these days. Candace Owens, something, 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 something. I can't remember the rest because the title is like a lot of different things for that video, but I'm pretty sure in those 3 videos I mentioned some similar things. But definitely the Coroners message video and the video about the girl who hid in CPS custody for over a year. And like, people just, they want things to go bad pretty much. I don't know how else to put it. Like, I had some memory a couple days ago, and I've had this memory a couple times throughout the years. This was way before I was out here and even really knew I would ever get out of my abuse situation. But this was, I don't know who said it, and I don't even remember why they said it, but I just remember some lady telling me that I was going to end up becoming some old man's cum bucket one day. And this was years ago, way before I even knew I would get out of my situation. So I don't remember who said it exactly. Like, I don't know who the lady was. I remember what she looked like. I don't know why she was saying it. I can't remember all that, but that's what this makes me think about. People want to like fearmonger you. Like, something else that I could throw in. Every time I go somewhere, I've noticed that like I always have somebody approach me who's typically somebody with marine spirits, or like, they're, well, pretty much to summarize, they're risky themselves. They're warning me about themselves in a like, I don't even know if this is the word for it, but some type of like reverse psychology type way. But every time I've went to different states and cities and stuff like that, I always have some person approach me telling me, you're never going to be able to survive here, and you're never going to be able to do this, and this is going to happen to you, and it's dangerous, and that's going to happen. Like, I remember when I originally went to Cali and I was in Santa Cruz, I had some dude who was somewhat warning me about himself, but he wasn't even really that bad, to be honest. So like, he just gave me this whole rundown about due to racial stuff and racism, which honestly was pretty bad. I was always getting told to go back to Mexico, but like, honestly, as long as nobody's literally like trying to get me locked up for no reason or trying to like attack me or something, it's really kind of whatever. People are always going to have bullcrap to say. But he was like, due to racism and stuff, and the fact that you stick out like a sore thumb because you're quote unquote black, you're never going to be able to survive here and lay low here in Santa Cruz, and you should just go back to wherever you came from and all that bullcrap. And actually, I'm glad that I even got the opportunity to go there. And I mean, a lot of drifty stuff did happen, but I mean, shoot, it was a good looking place, and I'm just glad I got to go and I got to experience something other than like what I was used to. And I mean, looking back, it was just a good experience, and things did happen, but I mean, things are going to happen everywhere. Things are definitely happening here, probably more than in Santa Cruz, although everything becomes a repressed memory, and I can't even remember yesterday, so I can't really say like where more stuff happened, although I do feel like ever since that whole Chomo cop thing happened, things have kind of went just really left since then, and things have been really weird around here, and I am hoping to like figure some stuff out. But either way, it's like, I even remember having some people tell me that they believe that that dude was like, I don't like the psych label bullcrap, but they believe he's bipolar. Honestly, I wouldn't say all that. I mean, I'm sure that he like has the usual trauma stuff going on, and he was one of those what could I say, stereotypical people that are used for the white addict projection. He was on like meth, I think. I can't remember if it was meth or heroin, but either way, that's not even the point. The point is that people did tell me that like he is a pretty paranoid person, and like they notice that he'll be okay for a while and then he'll be paranoid. But to be truthfully honest, I get why. Like, you literally have people getting on intercoms, especially in places like that, getting on intercom security systems and telling you that they see your every move and you can't go anywhere where they can't see you, and there's going to be a warrant out for your arrest. You literally get treated like crap to be pushed into becoming, paranoid isn't even the word. You know that people don't like you, and people are like out to get you because they feel some type of way about you, and then it like gets to you. I would say that was his situation. I probably went a little too off on a rant about that, but that's just one example. But literally everywhere I've went, I've had people come up to me and tell me these stories about how I'm not going to make it and all this stupid stuff is going to happen. And it's kind of funny because when I came here, that didn't happen. Where I'm at now, I've actually had people tell me that this is a safe place, even though it's very obvious that a lot of people have serious, like, perversion issues around here. And, I mean, it's whatever. I would say that, like, that's, like, one of the main issues around here. And that's the issue in, like, a lot of places due to the veil thinning and all that bullcrap. And it's only going to get worse, actually. Like, guys are even, like, assaulting each other in the men's bathroom. So there's that. But I would still say that, like, this place has shown that, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not the safest. But it's funny how the place where, like, I've been shown that I'm not that safe, it's a place where people come up to me and tell me, yeah, this is a great safe place to be, but it's still kind of whatever, though. People like to try to fearmonger you, to try to keep you in a known bad situation, and to try to keep you from trying to fix your life, or at least accepting that maybe the most you can do is get out the known bad situation, and then it's whatever after that. But either way, it's like people are always looking for a way to, like, trap you in something. Okay, so I don't remember what I was last talking about because an example of something I know I did mention just happened. The usual thing with the Marin Kingdom agent elderly dudes. And, like, that's something else I guess I could go ahead and mention. So, something else that's kind of irrelevant maybe a little bit. When guys approach you, especially if they already know you're in a situation, or if you just don't look like in place and you kind of look like you have something going on. Like, people aren't used to seeing young people out all day or all the time and, like, just sitting in certain places. So people in places like this are automatically gonna, like, not all of them, but some people are gonna automatically just even assume that maybe I have something going on. And so when guys ask you, are you okay? Or what are you up to? What they're doing is they're trying to see if you're one of those desperate people that'll tell all your business or whatever. And they're trying to see if, like, you're in a situation where they may be able to manipulate you into sexual fiascos. When women, some of them, I mean, a lot of them are chumos too, to be honest. Everything women, no, hold up. Everything men do, women do too, but they do it in a more covert way. I learned this back in, what was it, maybe, I don't know, I've been saying this since the Evidence Channel, said everything men do, women do it too, but they just do it in a covert way. But anywho, when women ask you, like, are you okay, and what do you have going on, or whatever, or how you're doing, or stuff like that, they're trying to see if you're in a situation so they can, one, talk junk to you and bash you, and then, two, so they can smear campaign you and gossip about you. But sexual predatory dudes are effeminate too. Dudes in the down low feminine thug persona are effeminate too, and they'll gossip about you in a heartbeat as well. Kind of like with the whole Chomo Shane / Elvis thing that started the whole thing with the cop harassment for me, that I have a couple videos about and kind of. And he's what I call a gossiping queen. So yeah, the sexual predator dudes are feminine as well, to be honest. But yeah, so two guys came to ask me stupid stuff, they thought. But anywho, that sidetracked me. I don't remember what I was last saying, but that kind of goes back to the point I was making. I don't remember all of what I was last saying, but I remember, like, the overall point is that I also noticed that, like, whenever I go somewhere, I'll always have people try to tell me that, like, I'm just gonna die the moment I, like, walk down the road. And then, like, I even had a dude make me pretty nervous back in Santa Cruz, and honestly nothing ended up happening. In fact, I would say that, like, there are better camp spots there, and things were definitely hard, and I just had a lot going on at that point in time. I was still, like, getting through the whole getting over the gaslighting about my chronic illness and stuff, so I was also pretty upset back then because I was in constant pain and stuff like that. but I was getting better, especially once I started working on my health issues. Once I got over the gaslighting about my health issues, and it just like it wasn't the best, but nothing happened, and I didn't like get attacked or anything. And I mean, I feel like everything is kind of whatever. It's like things are always going to be kind of whatever when you don't have like family or anything, and like you don't have anywhere to really go or anyone to go to. Things are always going to be whatever, and they're never going to be like perfect, and it's only ever going to be what you make it. So I mean, you can't really like get paranoid and run around screaming, crying, and rolling around on the ground, terrified and depressed every time you go anywhere because you don't know what's going to happen. In fact, I've even like seen plenty of documentaries over the years of like no, actually I forgot the last thing I meant to say before this. But in the place I'm at now, even though it's like definitely a lot of sexual fiasco stuff going on, this is the one place I've came to where I've had people mostly tell me that it's safe. Like I even remember somebody was warning me about the Catholic Charities human trafficking, and then when oh, now I'm getting sidetracked again. No. Well, he tried to give me a hot dog. I'm not gonna lie though. One thing I've noticed as well, which I'm probably gonna forget what I was supposed to be saying, but I've noticed throughout the years as well that the Marine Kingdom agents, they do the same thing that the Marine Kingdom agents do in your dreams, where they try to like get you to eat food and then like to put spells on you and stuff. Although I would say that like the Marine Kingdom agents, the human ones in person, they don't really know they're Marine Kingdom agents, so like they don't have the same goal in mind like the ones in your dreams, are like they know that since they're actually demons, that they're gonna give you this food in your dream and then you're gonna eat it so they can like put spells and stuff on you and all that. But Marine Kingdom agents will definitely give you food in a heartbeat, but I have a whole video about that titled, I think it's titled Chomos and Marine Kingdom agents. I can't even remember, sexual predator, something like that. I'll put it in the description if I remember. But I don't know. He keeps sidetracking me, him and the other dude, and I keep forgetting what I'm talking about anyways. But I don't even know what I was saying. But I guess I can go into the other thing that I wanted to mention. And it's that, as I always say, people who are actually quote-unquote safe and healthy and financially stable, which as the US dollar falls, there's not going to be any more middle class, so that's kind of up in the air. But people who consider themselves to be all those things, they don't help people. So the people that do quote-unquote help people are different types of toxic and abusive and predatory people. Pretty much sexual predators and what I like to call let me help you lunatics. And I did want to make a part 2 and 3 of the last Let Me Help You Lunatic situation with Miss S and the J lady, but I just ended up deleting the audio recordings and just deciding I was going to start all the way over because I just kept messing up too much. But anywho, all of that, to get back to the point, is why I really want to make some good harm reduction groups. And just like the one that I know of that is out there, they don't tell the full truth. In fact, no. Because I remember what I really wanted to say but kept getting sidetracked from. I even was having this conversation with this one girl a couple months ago, and she was like, it's really interesting how the moderators have had better experiences with escaping abuse, as I'm just going to say quote unquote, than the average person, and how their experiences were supposedly so great, and how they supposedly know everything, and it went so much better for them. And that's something that I talk about all the time, really. Oh my gosh, I keep getting sidetracked. Apparently, one of those guys told one of the cops that, he was worried about me, quote unquote. It's just so annoying. It's so weird though how like the sexual predators have this like relationship with the cops where like whenever you don't give them what they want, they'd go and tell the cops. So I forgot what I was talking about again. I don't know. It's like they do not want me to make this video apparently. And it's so annoying because I already get sidetracked so easily anyways and keep forgetting what I'm talking about. That cop looked kind of familiar, but I guess I can't really tell people apart ever since 2020 because of the brain damage. So like a lot of people I get mixed up. He kind of looks like this other one. But it's just so annoying. Especially because I know ever since the Elvis thing, the reason why like a lot of the cops will be in this area is kind of like to keep an eye on me because of whatever all Elvis/Shane told them. But I had to pause again for the cop to come ask me how I was doing, which at least he wasn't rude though, because most of the ones around here don't like me. I guess they haven't told him about me. He doesn't know that I'm like homeless or whatever, so he just asked if I lived around here and stuff like that. And he said that the guy told him that he was trying to give me something to eat, and it's like, why? And that's what, it's so funny though. It's really funny how like since I've been here, I've noticed that like the sexual predators and the cops have this relationship where they literally just work hand in hand together to annoy the heck out of me and whoever else, I'm sure. In fact, no, not I'm sure, because I actually have had a lady tell me that a dude's actually called the cops on her once and almost put her at risk, but it went a little different because she's white. So it wasn't like a lot of the stuff that I've dealt with like the other cops where like they claim they have videos of me naked somehow for some reason, which is just a really weird thing to even make up. I don't know, it's just so annoying. But sidetracked again. So to try to get to the point for the 39th time. Okay, I remember now. And hopefully nobody's gonna come back up to me saying stupid stuff or whatever. So I was talking to this girl and she was like, it's very interesting how the moderators have had a different experience from most people and their runaway experience that seemed to go so great. Like, I remember when I used to be, like, in the different support groups, quote-unquote support groups, I would talk about, like, just different things. I would give people different advice. So I would talk about how, like, missing white woman syndrome is more likely to get you looked for. Something that I was actually taught by the dude that I call the 19-year-old hero wingman dreamer, which is actually the title of a video where I mention him. And how nobody really knows what happened to him, but he did do some stuff to like help a lot of people, not gonna lie. Just ignore that. And anywho, he would always mention to people that if you're 14 or younger, typically the FBI automatically gets involved. So it's better to wait till 15, 16 to try to escape. And I also always mention that the least longest wait you have till 18, the better. Because you don't want to like be waiting from, I don't know, 12 and however many years that is till 18. A lot of people have to because they literally don't have a choice. Because they're kicked out of the situation, it's really so dangerous, they have to leave at 12 or younger. Or they're kicked out at 8, or they're in foster care, and they're homeless their whole life pretty much. But if you don't really have to do that, it's definitely totally not worth it. Getting treated like crap, called a bum, and talk junk to, having people tell you you're being bad and all that, and to go home and you burned your bridges from 12 or younger all the way till 18 will definitely screw you up. Really just like the abuse situation will. And I feel like sometimes just the being outside thing is an extra layer of trauma. Not because being outside is bad, but being outside in the city where you're like visibly out there and people can see you and people can talk junk to you and do whatever to you, and they see that you're like visibly out there, that causes a lot of issues. It's definitely way different than if you were homeless from like 12 to 18, camping in the woods and were able to like forage and hunt or something to get food and never having to go in the city. But that'll still cause issues just due to the isolation, which me and plenty of other people I know, we were in isolated and abuse situations anyways. kind of. I mean, the Cash for Kids system, there's plenty of other people in there with you, but like, it's just so much abuse and everybody's just focused on getting through. You're not always allowed to talk and stuff like that, so that's kind of whatever. And you're still locked in a building or a room all day. So still isolated enough even if you are in a placement with other people. But anywho, to get back to the point again, the moderators would have something to say about that. I would tell people that, like I remember there was this one time where this one boy was like, I've worked a job and I've saved up over $7,000 or something like that. I don't think he was in the U.S. I can't remember, but he was like, I'm gonna run away, but I'm wondering if I should bring my laptop or not, or if it can be tracked, because I was thinking that maybe that could be harder to track than a phone. And I was like, honestly, I don't even really think it's a good idea, because it's just gonna break anyways, and it probably can be tracked, but either way, a laptop is going to be very hard to carry around. Like, after a while, you're probably just going to want to sell it for food money anyways, or for money for something else, or a bus ticket or something. You are not going to want to carry around a laptop. You would honestly rather sell the laptop now and go ahead and get a 0-degree sleeping bag. And then also, due to the condensation and the respiration of being outside, especially depending on where you're at, it's going to end up breaking. Anyways, like even in a bag, the condensation and respiration will build up in the bag, and your phone and your laptop and whatever else will be wet, and it can even mess up your notebooks, especially if you're in a more humid place, if you live by a beach, or if you're inside of a tent. People don't even know the amount of water we let off in our sleep overnight, or even while we're awake and we're breathing. When you're in a tent, all the water that comes out of you when you breathe, the condensation and respiration from you and just the earth, the atmosphere, that all builds up on the tent walls, and it gets all over the tent floor and stuff, and that'll break a laptop anyways. It'll also eventually break your phone. Just the hot and cold weather from the season changing, and your phone going from being 100 degrees to being freezing cold will break a phone or any other device. So I was saying that, and then the moderator came and was like, I was out here and I was homeless for years from 12 to whatever age, and I even lived in the woods up until my 20s, and I went to early college at 15 or 16 after I was able to get help getting emancipated, and I never had any devices I had break. And it's like, okay, I mean, why are you acting like I'm lying or something? And that's just one summary of why I really rather have real support groups that tell people the real full truth. And it's like, it's just so weird how the moderators are. Like, I remember there was this one girl who told me that she got banned for warning people about, for telling somebody not to go with some chomo, and I've been banned plenty of times throughout the years for warning people about SRA sex trafficking and different things and what time of years to watch out for, because that stuff can spike up, and people who do that stuff are looking for more people to kidnap or whatever. Although people typically are born into that stuff, not just kidnapped off the streets. They get in through CPS or they're born in, but still it's a risk, and people do get kidnapped either way. So like, I was warning people about that, and I even still have videos, I'm pretty sure, with screenshots, I think, of like how I've gotten banned and gotten accounts deleted for warning people about stuff like that, because it's quote-unquote misinformation and stuff like that. In fact, I even got banned for misinformation once a year plus ago, no, probably like 2 years ago, for warning people about some of the racial experiences I had in Cali, and that was quote-unquote misinformation because we're white savior liberals here and we're not racist, and you're lying on us to make us look bad because we can never be racist because we're white savior liberals. And it's like, okay. But yeah, so it's like, that's why I want real support groups where people can tell the real, full, honest truth without having to sugarcoat, leave out the racism side, leave out the full truth. And it's like, it's still stupid. Even minor stuff like me talking about the condensation and respiration was an issue to moderators for whatever reason. And that's why I often would wonder if they really are who they say they are, because it's like, how have you had this experience that's so much better than everybody else? Like, most people, to be truthfully honest, end up stuck out here. The same people that are homeless that are in their 70s. They've been out here since they were 7, 12, 13, etc. years old. But you act like you have this perfect story and everything just went so wonderfully good. And if that is true, you were probably doing the whole chomo route and staying with chomo's route, or you had help and you were lucky enough to have some type of a support system that most people don't have, which is why they end up out here, or they found a support system after ending up out here. But either way, it was just really annoying. Every time somebody tells the truth or warns anybody about anything, here come the moderators with an attitude about something. And then they wonder why some people are coming to the site thinking that they were chomos because of a couple of situations really where like people would end up finding somebody on there and getting kidnapped but then getting found. And that's a big reason why I wouldn't even really advise trying to escape abuse if you're 14 or younger, because the FBI may automatically get involved. But I know in states like Virginia, if you're a repeated runaway and you're 12 or older, they stop looking. And I mean, you can lie about your age. Like where I'm at now, a lot of people assume I'm 30. It's kind of easier to like be like a homeless youth in places where people pretend that homeless youth don't exist, or they're not used to seeing it, or they're not really used to seeing homeless people in general, to be honest. But that also means that there's going to be less services, if any. And I mean, it's not like the white areas where everybody's like on drugs and they've had their hippie stuff going on and they frame it as a homeless issue, quote unquote, to cover up the issues of their community. So it's not like being in, I don't know, Virginia, or I don't know, the Appalachians, the Trailer Park, Slab City, California, the West Coast, Oregon, wherever, any of those mostly white areas. It's not like being there where people automatically assume you're on drugs if you're homeless because their communities have serious drug issues and they frame it as a homeless issue. But still, people are always going to treat you like crap in any situation you're in. I mean, whether you have a house or not, if people feel like they're above you or you did something wrong. That's why I say it's really similar to the whole bad, crazy, slow, retarded thing, quote unquote, where people will label you off as those certain things to make themselves feel better, to blame you for your abuse, to blame you for being SA'd at 4. They'll be like, it's your fault you got assaulted at 4 because you're retarded. And it's really also to like manipulate you into really becoming one of those labels one day, but that's a whole nother video, and I talk about that pretty often, at least in the past. But overall, in every situation you're in, people have a new excuse to treat you like crap, which I've already talked about a lot recently. There just needs to be more harm reduction so people can actually know how to get through these situations and we can help each other, instead of people feeling like they need to go run off into the sunset with some chomo or any other risky, dangerous, abusive person, really, and regardless of how old they are as well. I don't like the whole, okay, let's help the elderly, but then let's leave the younger people out here because they just need to go home or go to CPS or go stay with somebody. And the middle-aged people, they can just get a job, and I don't like that narrative either, where like certain people are left out. It even kind of reminds me of like how I feel when people will pretend to care about me more because I'm younger, even though of course they don't care about anybody, not even themselves. Like I remember when I was in Oregon, I had this one lady approach me, and at this point in time I wasn't even homeless, I was like renting a room, but her and her mom still felt some type of way about me because they felt like I needed to be at home with family and I needed to find my family or parents and go stay with them. So even though I wasn't homeless, quote unquote, they still felt some type of way about me and my situation. I was about to leave that town, and this lady and her grandma felt some type of way about my situation, as I already said. And so the lady was like, I don't even remember word for word, but she tried to do this whole I'm worried about you or I care about you thing, but I don't care about the other street kids because, you know, I feel like a lot of them are on drugs, and so I wouldn't even approach them. And it's like, and I was just thinking, but I mean, the street kids they're dumped out foster kids. I don't know what you really expect them to be doing. And honestly, some of them were, but all of them definitely weren't on drugs or substances. In fact, a lot of them were on prescribed substances because they were being they were having it bashed into their head that they were autistic, or they had ADHD, or they were depressed, and different bullcrap like that. But still, overall, I hate when people try to do this person doesn't deserve anything, and so I'm going to pretend that I give a crap about you, and then I'm going to say screw these other people in your face to pretend that I give a crap about you. I don't even like stuff like that. People are so wishy-washy, and I know that there is no quote-unquote help, to where I don't even really care for anybody to even approach me on some quote-unquote help bullcrap anyways. And honestly, I haven't cared for that since I helped and saved myself from my previous situation. It's funny how once you save yourself, or you start saving yourself and you escape your abuse situation, all of a sudden people come out of the woodworks talking about wanting to quote-unquote help you. Where was the help when I was chronically ill and could have died at any moment, really? Where was the help when all the other people who were in the cash for kids system with me, which a lot of those people are dead now. They died even back when I was still making abuse evidence videos. Where was the help then? And it's like, what in the world? People annoy me, but I'm not even going to go into that any further because I'll just keep getting more mad. That's the summary of why I want real support groups and real harm reduction. And when I say harm reduction, I don't mean the substance use stuff. I've never been into that. In fact, I mentioned before in another video that some months ago, I had some lady tell me that I'm too opinionated to be a child who's never had sex before, because I said the harm reduction was just genocide and eugenics. And it's just getting people on substances, even people that haven't done them before. Harm reduction to homeless foster kids, harm reduction to people of any age, but harm reduction to the homeless 14-year-old who gets kicked out all the time. Like, some of those people probably are using for the first time, and you're talking about some harm reduction. That's stupid, but I mean harm reduction as far as, like, real help, not stupid stuff. They're giving out substances and needles. But yeah, like, there's been so many cases, even the Utah girl, which I do kind of wonder how real that situation was. I have some, like, short videos about this, but I don't think I really ever went into detail on it. But I went over, like, some comments from some of that situation in a couple of videos, like, months ago. I do kind of wonder if that was just, like, another made-up scenario to try to push the whole digital ID thing and pretend that it's to protect people under 18. Or people under, I guess, maybe 16 more so. The age of consent, but... Or would they be under 14, depending on where you are. But either way, like, people in situations like that, they get smear campaigned all over the internet. That even happened to me, and actually most of the smear campaigning that's out about me is from when I tried to sneak to a job interview. That's actually the funny thing about it. And in fact, I think that's what really all of it is from. I don't think any of it is from when I actually left, but it's like that stuff is really detrimental. It can keep you from being able to get a job in the future, and it's worse if you already had issues with that, which everybody's having issues with that right now anyways. And it lowers your self-esteem, and especially with the Utah girl, she was 14. No, actually I think she was 16, but I think her parents are rich, so they were able to pay a private investigator. In fact, her parents are Russian. And she also had missing white woman syndrome. And yeah, she was definitely rich in Utah, and she was in all types of sports. And whenever people see that, they're like, she's living a great life because obviously her parents are rich and she's going skiing and she lives in Utah. And it's like, I can only imagine how much worse her situation got after she got sent back home. But from some of the comments that she supposedly was making on her phone, it did sound like she was probably hypersexual due to already being essayed or already had been essayed. And the programming from childhood porn addiction, which has been the real pandemic for forever and a day. But I will say that overall, like, people want somebody to care about them and want somebody to talk to. And I get that, like, when you don't have that and you're alone, you do, like, have to fight for your sanity every day, which I learned that a long time ago. But I'm just not one of the people that's willing to, like, even go for any of that stuff. I feel like I'd rather just lose it all, lose myself by myself, than let somebody take my mind from me. not that I really want to run around saying that, because I also feel like it's kind of like the whole I can do bad all on my own thing, and I don't like that because that's a word curse, and I don't want to do bad on my own or with somebody else, but it's still the reality. If I am going to lose it, I don't want to let people drive me crazy, but I guess, like, when you're homeless in the city, you are still letting people drive you crazy because you have people treating you like crap and doing that thing where people avoid eye contact. But I'd rather for people to avoid eye contact with me than to do, like, let me help you lunatic or chomo type stuff. But it's still kind of whatever, though. Overall, people want somebody to care, but people really don't care. So you have to run to, like, predatory people. And one of the things about the predatory people is that they're clairvoyant, which I feel like a lot of people really are, but they also know that you have stuff going on because they've probably been in your situation before, and they've been in a bad situation before. So it's not always just about, like, the whole abusive people or thieves or robbers. When they can tell this, and that about a person, then they know that the person's a good target. It's not even always just about that, really. It's deeper than that. In fact, in the part 2 of the video I'm going to make, if I do even make it, about the Miss S Let Me Help You Lunatic lady, I'm going to talk about how if there were people that were actually safe people that were as adamant about quote-unquote helping people as Let Me Help You Lunatics are, the world would be a very much better place if that even came out right. Like, crap, I wish somebody who was safe would try to do a lot of the things that Miss S is trying to do. But unfortunately, that's just not how things are. And then it's like, whenever you talk about it, people feel like you just want somebody to feel bad for you, and nobody, what's the thing that people say? You burn your bridges, you just want somebody to feel bad for you. You feel like the world owes you. Honestly, I feel like I don't really like that term. I would say that really nobody owes anybody anything, and a lot of people even say that your parents don't owe you crap, and I kind of used to be in all that stuff, but honestly, I feel like a lot of that stuff is just toxic positivity that people tell themselves, and that I've even told myself at certain points in my life to try to make myself feel better about the fact that nobody gives a crap about anybody. I feel like that's what a lot of that stuff is. When you go on these rants cursing people out, talking about your parents don't know you jack, and your parents don't have to feed you when you're 5, and honestly, all that stuff is bullcrap. All that stuff is really bullcrap that people tell themselves to make themselves feel better. It's toxic positivity. It's really not even positive, to be honest. It's like people just want to feel like they have control. And just like I've said before, telling yourself that everything is your fault is no different from blaming everything on everybody else, even when it is your fault. It's trying to, like, find some way to make yourself feel better, to make a long story short. And me personally, I really didn't like the whole, I mean, I don't feel like anybody owes me anything, but the world was supposed to go a certain way that it just doesn't go. And me personally, I really just don't even care. I'm out here because I want people to leave me alone, but evidently that's not going to happen. But I just want people to leave me alone. And I just want to be at peace. I don't want anything from anybody, and I know I'm not going to get anything from anybody, even if I did need it, so it doesn't really matter. But I don't want to have to, like, live off of people. I never did like that. And I hate how, like, once you're visibly homeless, all of a sudden people want to come tell you about how everything is your fault and you made bad decisions. And it's like, I purposely chose to be out here to save my own life, like most people who end up out here do. And it's like, especially Caucasian people, they want to lump you into some category because their family's on meth and heroin and fetty and crack and I already said fetty and I already said crystal. What else? Xanax and whatever else. Because they're on all those different things. They want to project that stuff onto you, and like they want to be like, well, if you weren't on substances and this wouldn't be happening. And like, I'm just so tired of white people projecting their drug issues on everybody else. That's so annoying. I don't know when they're going to understand that not everybody's on 3,000 different drugs, and that not everybody has their 8-year-olds doing meth. That's just so annoying, and I'm so tired of that. But it's like, people have a new accusation about you in every situation. When I was in my abuse situation, people had accusations about what I did, what I needed to do, why I wasn't getting help. Now people have whatever little feelings, and it's like, people do that to everybody though, and people really just have pride, and that's the main issue with all of that. People want you to unalive yourself, and they want to unalive you themselves, and that's kind of the moral of the story, and that's why there needs to be real harm reduction.